Okay, real talk. You filled up your tank last week and you noticed something. The number on that pump kept going and going and going. And when you finally got to the grocery store, your usual cart of stuff cost more than it did a month ago. Again. So what is going on? Here's the short answer. There's a war happening right now, the US and Israel versus Iran. And whether you support it or not, whether you've been following it or not, it is taking money directly out of your wallet right now, today. Not someday, not eventually, now. And most people have no idea how deep this goes. It's not just the gas pump, it's your groceries, your electricity bill, your flight tickets, your 401k, and your Friday night pizza delivery. All of it. So today, we're breaking down exactly how a conflict 7,000 miles away in the Middle East is quietly making your daily life more expensive, and what you should actually know about it. Let's get into it. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched military strikes on Iran, called Operation Epic Fury, and the ripple effects hit American wallets almost instantly. Now, to understand why your gas bill went up because of something happening in Iran, you need to know about this one little spot on the map, the Strait of Hormuz. It's a narrow waterway, barely 21 miles wide at its tightest point, sitting right along Iran's southern coast, and it is arguably the most important body of water on planet Earth for your daily life. Why? Because roughly 1/5 of all the world's oil passes through it every single day. Millions and millions of barrels, plus a massive chunk of the world's natural gas, plus about 1/3 of all globally traded fertilizer. And right now, that strait is effectively shut down. Iran has threatened to fire on any ships that try to pass through. There are fears that Iran has planted sea mines in the water. At least 3 cargo ships have already been attacked. About 200 tankers are basically just floating there, stranded, going nowhere. When you remove 1/5 of the world's oil supply from the market practically overnight, the price of everything connected to oil goes up. And as we're about to show you, that's pretty much everything. Let's start with what you're already feeling, the gas pump. Just before the war started, the national average for a gallon of regular gasoline was $2.92. That was February 28th. Trump had actually been bragging about getting prices down from $3.11 when he took office. Then the bombs dropped. By March 4th, just 4 days later, GasBuddy recorded the national average at $3.19 a gallon. That one-day jump on March 2nd was the largest single-day price increase since Russia invaded Ukraine back in 2022. By March 10th, the average hit $3.54 a gallon. That's up more than 17% in less than 2 weeks. If you live in California, you're already above $5. In San Francisco, some Shell stations were charging $6.50 a gallon as of March 12th. Now here's the thing that makes this feel so unfair. The US actually produces record amounts of oil domestically, so why are we affected at all? Because oil is priced on a global market. It doesn't matter where the oil is drilled. When supply gets cut anywhere in the world, prices go up everywhere in the world. The crude oil in Texas gets more expensive because crude oil in the Persian Gulf got more expensive. That's just how global commodities work. And nearly half the cost of your gallon of gas is the raw crude oil underneath it all. Experts at GasBuddy are now projecting the national average could hit $3.30 to $3.35 soon if the conflict stays contained. But if it escalates, some analysts say we could be looking at $5 a gallon nationally, similar to what happened after Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. The average American household spends about $2,500 a year on gas, roughly $50 a week. If prices stay 17% higher, that's an extra $425 a year coming straight out of your budget, just for gas, nothing else.
Okay, let's talk about something that hits even harder for most families, your grocery bill.
But wait, you might be thinking, what does a war in the Middle East have to do with my box of cereal or bag of apples? The answer is everything. And it comes down to three things: diesel, fertilizer, and timing. Hit number 1, transportation costs. Food gets to the grocery store on diesel, whether it's on a truck or on a boat. That's a direct quote from Dr. Ricky Volpe, an agricultural economist at Cal Poly, and he's exactly right. Every single food item you buy at Walmart, Kroger, Trader Joe's, it traveled hundreds or thousands of miles to get to that shelf, on diesel trucks, in diesel-powered ships. Every time diesel gets more expensive, it costs more to move that food. And eventually, pretty fast actually, that cost gets passed on to you. Hit number 2, the fertilizer bomb nobody's talking about. This is the one that's flying under the radar, and it could be the most devastating hit to your grocery bill long term. Here's the deal. A huge chunk of the world's fertilizer is made using natural gas from the Persian Gulf. Countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and the UAE produce nearly 49% of the world's urea. That's the most common nitrogen fertilizer farmers use to grow corn, wheat, soybeans, basically everything. And about 1/3 of all globally traded fertilizer travels through, you guessed it, the Strait of Hormuz. Since the war started, that route is shut, and the price of urea nitrogen fertilizer has already jumped 25% in one single week. Now here's where the timing gets really scary. It's March. Right now, across America, farmers are heading into spring planting season. This is literally the window where they buy and apply fertilizer to their fields. This is the most critical time of the year for the entire food supply chain. The American Farm Bureau Federation, the group that represents farmers across the country, sent a letter directly to President Trump this week, warning that farmers are facing supply shortages and record-high prices. Their president, Zippy Duvall, put it bluntly, fertilizer's not an option to farmers. It's a critical input that determines the crop yield and ultimately the food supply for the American people. What does that mean for you? If farmers can't get affordable fertilizer right now, crop yields go down later this year. When crop yields go down, the supply of food goes down. And when the supply of food goes down, you already know what happens to the price. We're talking potential price hikes on corn, wheat, soybeans, which flow into everything from bread and pasta to chicken and beef. One more layer that doesn't get talked about: packaging. Plastic packaging, the stuff your food comes wrapped in, is a petroleum product. When oil prices spike, packaging costs go up. That gets added on top of everything else. The Center for American Progress put it this way: higher crude oil prices will impact food packaging costs as well, and combined with rising transportation and fertilizer costs, multiple pieces of the food supply chain are facing pressures that can push up grocery prices. And remember, grocery prices were already up 2.4% year over year before the war even started. This is a pile-on top of an already strained system. Here's the part that really stings. You're not just paying more at the pump and at the grocery store, you are literally paying for this war too. The first week of the war alone reportedly cost U.S. taxpayers over $11 billion. $11 billion. And that doesn't even include the cost of the military buildup, all those warships and troops that were moved into the region before the first bomb dropped. The State Department has already earmarked millions to evacuate the tens of thousands of Americans who got stranded in the Middle East when the war started and the airspace shut down. Flights got canceled across the entire region. Airlines including United, Cathay Pacific, Lufthansa, British Airways, all suspended Middle East services. And United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby has already warned that airfares are going up because jet fuel costs have risen about 58% since the war began. Airlines have already started raising their fuel surcharges. So if you've got a vacation or a trip coming up, go check those flight prices because they're going up. Okay, so gas, groceries, and flights. Those are the three things you feel immediately, but this war is also creating a bigger economic storm that could affect your job, your investments, and your overall financial security. Goldman Sachs has already bumped up their recession probability for the next 12 months to 25%. That's up 5 percentage points just since this war started. Former Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen has warned that if the war drags on, economic growth will suffer, and the Fed's job of fighting inflation becomes a lot harder. Here's why this is a nightmare for policymakers. Inflation was just starting to cool down. We were at 2.4% in January, close to the Fed's target of 2%. Now economists are saying that monthly inflation could hit 1% in March alone, the highest monthly jump in 4 years, pushing yearly inflation back toward 3% or higher. When inflation goes back up, the Fed might have to keep interest rates high or even raise them. And when interest rates stay high, your mortgage gets more expensive, your car loan gets more expensive, your credit card interest gets more expensive. Companies are already squeezed on both sides. They spent the last year absorbing tariff costs. Now they've got a sudden surge in transportation and energy costs on top. Boston College economics professor Brian Bethune warned, if these higher oil prices persist, you're gonna see, and I'm paraphrasing here, a persistent cost shock running through the entire economy. And CNN's reporting points out something really interesting about what businesses might do when they can't just raise prices anymore. They might cut workers, lay people off, because, quote, there's no free lunch. In 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine and oil prices spiked similarly, companies used a trick called shrinkflation. Same price, smaller product. You got fewer chips in the bag, less detergent in the bottle. Expect to see that again, except this time, consumers are already stretched thin and fed up. Companies may have a harder time getting away with it. All right, let's get practical, because knowing this stuff is useless unless you can do something with it. Number 1, gas. Use apps like Gas Buddy or Gas Guru to find the cheapest gas near you. Prices vary wildly, sometimes by 30 or 40 cents a gallon within just a few miles. Don't just pull into the first station you see. Also, if you can, fill up on Mondays or Tuesdays. Prices tend to spike on Thursdays and Fridays going into the weekend. Number 2, groceries. Stock up now on shelf-stable items that farmers grow. Grains, canned goods, rice, pasta, dried beans. If fertilizer shortages hit crop yields later this year, the price of these things will go up. Buying them now at today's prices is a smart move. Number 3, your budget. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, this is the time to look hard at discretionary spending. The National Retail Federation's chief economist says higher gas prices will hit lower-income shoppers first and hardest. Things like movie tickets, restaurants, and theme parks will be where people cut first. Start thinking now about where you have flexibility. Number 4, your investments. If you have a 401k or IRA, don't panic sell, but also don't ignore what's happening. With Goldman Sachs raising recession probabilities and markets already falling, talk to a financial advisor if you're close to retirement or heavily concentrated in sectors that will get hurt by high oil prices. Number 5, stay informed. This situation is changing literally day by day. New developments in the Middle East can swing oil prices by double digits overnight. The more you understand what's driving these costs, the better you can plan around them. Here's the bottom line, and I want you to really sit with this. A war in Iran, a country most Americans couldn't point to on a map, is right now, as of this week, adding real, measurable dollars to your gas tank, your grocery cart, your electric bill, and your tax burden. And it's only been going on for a couple of weeks. If this conflict drags on for months, the economic pain gets a lot worse. Experts are talking about $5 gas nationally. Food prices could spike sharply as crop yields drop. Inflation could surge back toward levels that would force the Fed to act, and recession risk climbs with every passing week. This isn't a political video. We're not here to tell you whether the war is right or wrong. Smart people disagree on that. What we are here to tell you is, understand the economics. Understand that global events are not just news stories on your phone. They show up in your life, in your wallet, at the checkout line. And the best thing you can do is know what's coming before it hits. If you found this video helpful, share it with someone who's been wondering why their gas bill went up. Hit that subscribe button if you want more breakdowns like this, where we take complex stuff that affects your money and actually explain it in plain English. And drop a comment below. I want to know, where do you live and how much is gas costing you right now? Let's see a real picture of what Americans are actually paying. Stay sharp. See you in the next one.